Hello or hello again, and thanks for joining me for another look at Windsor Magazine jokes. This time we have a 1914 edition of the Windsor Magazine, so we'll see if the jokes are any funnier. Thank you so much to everybody who watched the last video and who subscribed as a result of it. It had, I think, over 10,000 views. So we'll see what you make of this Windsor Magazine. There's a big period difference between the last one of the 1890s and this is 1914. Things had changed a great deal in the world in that period, and by the time some of these jokes came out, the First World War had started. Cars, as you could see, had become quite a thing. So we'll see if the humour has changed any. I think it feels a bit more modern, but I'll leave it to you to make your decision. Let me know whether you think this humour is more like our humour, about the same as the last lot, and which jokes you enjoyed most. I really enjoyed reading the comments from the last video, so thank you if you left one. So here we go. Said a boarder who was wrestling with a very tough piece of chicken, "Mrs. Brown, do you believe in the transmigration of souls?" "I don't think I know anything about it, sir," replied the proprietress of the establishment. "Well, all I can say," was the boarder's reply, "is that I think this chicken must have been the soul of an old boot." "My boy," said the sergeant to a junior member of the force, "you can't say I am lazy." Then the sergeant bent his arm. "Look at these stripes, my boy. I didn't get these by loafing about the streets and outside public houses." "No," the other answered with a sour smile. "I know you didn't get them in that way, or you'd be a zebra by now." Tommy's father had been giving him lessons in politeness, but hardly dared hope that the seeds of his teaching had taken root. One day, hearing noise coming from the nursery, he investigated and found Tommy pounding his little brother. "I'm surprised, Tommy," said his father sternly, "that you should hurt your little brother. Don't you know that it is very cowardly to strike one who is smaller than yourself?" "Yes," replied the culprit meekly, "but when you punished me yesterday, I was too polite to mention it." "First, country cousin, I forget which restaurant it is in town that is famous for its chandeliers." Second ditto, "I don't remember eating a chandelier the whole time we were there." It happened the other evening, and now a certain clubman is trying to figure out how he will square things with his wife the next time he is detained in town. He was not going home for dinner, and when his wife answered the telephone, he said, "Don't wait for me at dinner this evening, dear. I shall be detained on business." "Very well," she replied. "I'm sorry you can't come home, but business is a business, I suppose. Where are you now?" "Where am I? In my office, of course. I have had a very busy day." "It's too bad you have to work so hard, George. But tell me something." "Yes, dear, what is it?" "How can you keep your mind on business with the orchestra playing that jolly two-step tune?" Small boy, looking up from a history book. "Father, what is a religious prejudice?" Parent, "The convictions of someone else, my son." The parish hall of the village was crowded to the doors at an entertainment given by a magician. Some clever tricks were performed. "I defy anyone in this audience," said the magician, "to mention a single action that I can perform with my right hand which I cannot do with my left." In the silence that followed this dare, a boy at the back of the hall shouted, "Put your left hand in your right hand trouser pocket." The Irish citizen came into the office of the famous lawyer and related his grievance. "Why," said the lawyer, "you surely have the best case I have ever handled. You could not help winning if tried in any court on the face of the earth. I am glad to assist you, and my charges will be very reasonable." The prospective client put on his hat and made a speedy exit from the office. The solicitor looked up in surprise and said, "Where are you going?" "I'm going out to hunt up my adversary and try to settle the case out of court." "There's no use in that. I told you that you couldn't help but win. This is one of the best cases I ever heard." "Not for me," was the reply. "I gave you the other fellow's side of the story." A schoolboy was once asked whether he knew what was the derivation of the French word dimanche. "Oh, yes," he said. "It comes from a Latin word dis, which means twice, and from the word manger, to eat, because on Sundays we eat twice as much as on any other day." She had refused him, and he was unhappy. "Reconsider, Annie," he begged. "If you don't, I shall blow my brains out." "Oh," said Annie, "that would be a good joke on father, for he thinks you haven't any." "Why are you so late, Tommy?" demanded the teacher. "Well, sir, it's like this. There was a burglary last night, and as father didn't come home, mother sent me to the police station to see if it was him." A famous comedian's little joke. The elder Southern was very fond of a practical joke. On one occasion, while playing in Birmingham, he met a friend in the street near an ironmonger's shop. "Would you mind going in here with me? I want to make some small purchases," he said. He went up to the counter and said, "I want Macaulay's History of England." The assistant said, "We do not sell books, sir. This is an ironmonger's shop." "Well, I'm not particular," said Southern, pretending to be deaf. "I don't care whether it's bound in calf or Russia." "But this is not a bookseller's," shouted the assistant. "All right," said Southern. "Wrap it up neatly. Want to have it sent down to the hotel. It's for a present I wish to make to a relative. Put it up nicely." "We don't keep it," shouted the assistant, getting red in the face, while the friend stepped aside, almost overcome with suppressed laughter at the cheerful, frank expression on Southern's face and the mad, puzzled look on that of the assistant. "Do it up as if it were for your own mother. I don't want anything better than that," said Southern. "I should like to write my name on the fly-leaf." "Sir!" bawled the assistant at the top of his voice, "we do not keep books." "Very well," said the actor, quite undisturbed. "I will wait for it." Under the impression that his customer was either stone deaf or a lunatic, the assistant bounced off to the lower end of the shop and asked his master to come, saying, "I can do nothing with the man. I think he must be off his head." Whereupon the principal marched up to the spot where Southern was standing and asked very loudly, "What do you desire, sir?" "I want to buy a file," returned Southern quietly, "a plain file about 4 or 5 inches in length." "Certainly," said the principal, with a withering look at his assistant, and producing at once the article which had been asked for. "It is the duty of everyone to make at least one person happy during the week," said a Sunday school teacher. "Now, have you done so, Johnny?" "Yes," said Johnny promptly. "That's right. What did you do?" "I went to see my aunt, and she was happy when I went home." This, I think, is a true story, and I think Whistler referred to here is the artist James McNeill Whistler. Whistler was once taken by a friend to the home of a newly rich millionaire who had been gathering a collection of dubious paintings, supposedly by old masters. After Whistler had viewed the collection, his friend said, "Now, Whistler, Mr. Blank wants to make provision in his will to bequeath these paintings, and he would like a suggestion from you as to which institution to give them." Promptly came the answer, "The East End Institution for the Blind." No wonder. "Do you play an instrument, Mr. Smith?" "Yes, I'm a cornetist." "And your sister?" "She's a pianist." "Does your mother play?" "She's a zitherist." "And your father?" "He's a pessimist." An old gentleman with very few hairs on the top of his head called at the barber's shop and said he would have his hair parted in the middle. "What shall I do with the third hair, sir?" was the reply. And finally, a joke that is very much of its time. "So your wife is a suffragette?" "Yes," answered Mr. Jenkins. "Why does she want to vote?" "I don't think Henrietta really desires to vote. She's merely tired of talking to me. She wants a larger and more intelligent audience." And before I go, this is a little purchase I made today for the princely sum of £7.50. 6 copies of the Idler magazine from the 1890s. Mostly joke-free, 1 or 2 cartoons, but pretty much not. An amusing magazine. It was edited by Jerome K. Jerome, as you can see, and it's an illustrated monthly magazine. A bit similar, some non-fiction, lots of stories, serialised stories, some quite good authors, and it may or may not produce something for me to read as an audiobook in my YouTube channel, so I'll have to obviously leaf through a considerable amount of stuff to find out if there's anything worth reading in here, but that might be something coming up shortly. And as always, thank you for watching.